All right. I know you're still reading, Jeremy, but we started earlier. Let's break down this passage real quick. Does anyone want to give me an idea of the important points that they're making in the first, let's say the first three paragraphs here. First three paragraphs, what's important here? Dominic?
It's kind of like background on 3C 273 Quasar.
Mm-hmm.
And like how it's unique.
Okay. And what is unique about it?
That it's so active and bright.
It's bright. Just bright or what?
Well, yeah, it has high energy and activity, and it's very good.
Okay, so let's go 3C 273. Okay, that's paragraph 1. What about paragraph 2? What would you say here? Emma, what would you say before you show us your tricks with the cards?
Just paragraph 2 between paragraphs.
Yeah, let's talk about that one.
I'd say it's just kind of one sentence. So I'd say it's how watching that helps them discover more.
Who's them?
That I'm talking about 3C273. By monitoring that specific one, they're learning more about.
Okay.
I can't pronounce that word. It starts with a Q though.
Quasars.
Quasar.
By watching 3C learn. Okay, sure. What about paragraph 3? I'm going to go over to Jeremy Hubinger first for paragraph 3. What would you say about that one?
Like, this is more about the history of like quasars in general, not just there's one or something or other.
History of them?
That and like the description of what they are.
Okay, description of quasars in general. About paragraph 4, Jeremy Rodenberg.
Paragraph 4
is
about how they produce so much energy and light. And
is that paragraph 4? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 4. Yeah, there were. Yes, more energy and light. Sorry, energy and light. Okay, Q produces energy. And then paragraph 5. Who wants to chime in on 5? Go ahead, Dominic.
It's about how the level of activities it helps. It talks about how 3C273's uniqueness helps astronomers.
Yeah, it is unique, and we know more about it, and it helps astronomers. Yeah, so know more about 3C helps astronomers. Okay, let's continue. Paragraph 6. Jeremy Hubinger, what did you think about that one? The task of observing.
Yeah.
And it ends on the other column.
Like the methods, I guess, and like how they see it.
Sure. Methods. Okay, so 6 is methods. two more paragraphs here, 7 and 8. Who wants to chime in? Jeremy Rodenberg, did you get that far?
Yeah.
Okay, what about 7? I'll write it over here.
7 is about it's about its discovery, how it was part of the constellation.
Okay.
They found that it was producing huge amounts of radio waves and that it was really far away. So then it shows how they got the name quasars.
Right. Okay, good. And how they named it 3C273. Good. Discovery of that one. And the last paragraph, Emma, what would you say for this one?
They said that it was far away and that it was a special one.
Far away, and it was special. Why was it special?
Right.
Very bright. Is that what this guy said?
Well, no.
I think it's stronger than very bright. Like, gee, that's kind of bright, dude. It's more than that. Like, hey, dude, that's like cool. It was a little
Bright doesn't suffice.
Space magic.
Yeah.
a little bit more. Can someone help out, Dominic?
Well, it talks about this guy, Martin Schmidt,
Yeah.
and how he kind of went against what people were saying and said that it was different than what people previously thought.
True. You're gonna add to it, Jeremy?
The implications of discovering quasars and how that helps.
What were the implications that Schmidt said? Dominic?
That it was about 3 billion light years away from Earth.
That's a fact, yeah, that they came down to.
That other quasars were discovered after. I guess the reason for it.
Let's just leave it there. I don't want to overview this, but let's say Martin Schmidt's something important. Okay, that's what I'm going to say right now. Okay. Work. I'll see if you guys figure it out. I don't want to give things away. That's why I'm not pointing it out. Okay. Let's start with question 1. I'm just going to go over here, Jeremy Rodenberg. You want to read that for us? And then since this is a detailed question, usually we're looking for a line number or paragraph number for it, but they don't give us either. So tell us how you do it. I want you to think out loud when you do this, Jeremy. Go ahead.
According to the passage, what characteristic of quasars makes them the most distant objects in the universe the most distant objects that can be detected in the universe. So between 55 and 60, it talks about how they found it was emitting radio waves. You could use that. Radio waves are light.
Okay.
And then I guess the last paragraph is where you want to look because that's where they talk about
Okay.
Okay, so it just says that it was discovered that it was that far away.
Okay.
So I guess line 67, soon a few other quasars were identified that seemed to be even further and brighter, so that could imply that that's the right answer.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it implies light.
Right.
Maybe.
So when you look at these answers, how many of them can you actually find? Because it looks like there's obviously only one, but what makes them the most distant objects that can be detected?
Well, do you want me to look at the answers yet? Or
Yeah, of course. By now you should. I mean, it's not like
okay. So density, size, luminosity, or puzzling behavior. Right away, I'm gonna say it's luminosity or puzzling behavior. I think it's luminosity.
Luminosity is mentioned throughout this passage, both because they notice 3C as being super bright.
Yeah.
And then at the end of this, they still mention luminosity as one of the major things. But density is not really mentioned as a factor as to how they detected it,
I think it's mentioned once, I forget what.
but not as a factor of detection. The detection was really because it was bright, and that was the biggest reason for it. So I would go with luminosity on this one.
Oh, there it is, line 17, quasars are unmatched in luminosity and the rest.
Right, and that they can be detected.
Yeah.
So it's very closely related to the detection. Okay, let's try number 2 here, Emma. I know I always catch you right when you're about to do something, but go ahead.
According to the passage, astronomers study quasars and the physical process that power them by, I'd say, ground-based telescopes and satellite-borne instruments.
Ground-based telescopes and satellite. Well, that looks like a good answer, but it's not the answer.
I know, I'm just going through.
The key okay, there were no quotations, no phrases that they identified for us to spot. Where's physical processes? Because it says astronomers study quasars and physical processes.
Oh, that would be most of the energy is converted into radiation by a wide range of physical process, probably occurring at different distances from the core.
That's line
33.
That's one of the mentions of physical process. There's 2.
Okay. Gonna scan everything. It mentions it on line 14.
14.
Have begun understanding.
Yes, that one. So within that paragraph, it's only one sentence anyways.
All of the electromagnetic spectrum by observing variants of its luminosity, astronomers have begun to understand quasars.
Yeah. So which one would be?
I'd say observing the luminosity, because it's just talking about how they observe it on a wide spectrum.
Right. Okay. So what's your best answer?
I'm observing the answers there.
Okay.
Ground-based telescopes. Well, that wasn't my answer. That was me telling you what I thought.
That's fine. No, that's fine.
That'd be B then.
Monitoring electromagnetic spectrum. It's probably like they're both part of the observation, but specifically to identify the physical processes was the spectrum, and the instrument they used was obviously the telescopes. It's not like they didn't use them, because they did use it.
Start using the code to block out the answers.
That's good.
I'll read the answers.
That's good. No, I like that. I noticed you did that, so that's fine. Dominic, you want to do number 3 here?
Yeah. In the passage, which of the following is not a fact provided about quasar 3C 200? Okay, so A is all quasars have the same properties as 3C 273. That's not true. Should I go through all the answers?
If you could knock them out, go ahead.
I'm supposed to find the one that's wrong.
Sorry. That's okay. That's pretty good. Just double check with B.
Yeah, okay, so B is its luminosity can vary with some extreme peaks of radiation production, which is true. It says that on
Yeah, it is. First paragraph does mention it.
yeah.
Okay.
C, it is typically more luminous than 1,000 galaxies. It says that on the first paragraph as well. On 5. Then D, it is located more than 1 billion light years away from Earth. That is also true, and it says that on paragraph
it's kind of mentioned in the first line, but it doesn't say a billion light years. I think it's mentioned. Oh, sorry. Final paragraph. 3 billion light years from Earth. That's better. 3 billion. So those three are. You already knew the answer from A.
Yeah.
Just from the reasoning that you had. Like it's not all quasars that are exactly the same as 3C 273, but by going back, you verified it. So
Yeah.
okay. Good job on that one. Let's continue then past this to the next section talking about vocabulary and context. Vocab and context questions ask you to identify the contextual meaning of a specific word or phrase.
Can you slow down and say that again?
Okay. Vocab and context questions ask you to find the contextual meaning of a word or phrase. Good. And then you can spot them because they either identify a specific word and the answer choices are all one word. And that's pretty obvious. They're looking for synonyms right away, or they look for definitions of a specific word. So the answer choices would be definitions within the context. So that's the key clue, because the temptation is, oh, I just see one word in the answer choices. I don't need to go back to the passage at all. But usually they use these words in a different application of the word. It's not the literal meaning, but more of a figurative use of the word. So if you're ever, challenged by it and you're like, I'm not totally sure what this word means, I would just plug in the answer choices into the sentence and see which one keeps the meaning that you originally got from that sentence. So you can plug and chug on that one. Let's look at this. Number 4 is a perfect example. If you turn the pages, you'll see one word answer choices, right? It's tempting to just go straight to the answer choices and just match it up with an everyday synonym, but it's not for a literal meaning. Let's go with Jeremy Ubinger for number 4.
As it used to line 10, the word remains mostly remains. The monorails, 3C, 273, and all the remains of the electromagnetic by observing variation in velocity of this would be not understand. So I would say, so homes, not specialties, no territories, maybe, but probably not areas.
Yeah, even though area sounds the most general, these first 3 are too specific, so there's no way we would go with them. So good choice, good reasoning. Second example here is not just one word, it's kind of a whole phrase in this case. And they're trying to identify what this really means. So let's have Jeremy Rothberg read this one.
When the author writes, we find little room to doubt that Schmidt was right. Line 32 to 73. He most likely means that. Okay, so 72. Alright, so A, one should not believe Schmidt's findings. No. Everyone in the field agrees with Schmidt's findings. Probably not. The bulk of available scientific evidence supports Schmidt's findings. Yes. Efforts to confirm Schmidt's findings should be expanded. Probably not.
Okay. C is the best answer.
Yeah.
It's just kind of written in a way that's not direct, like, hey guys, Schmidt was right. I mean, that would be more direct, but it says, it's kind of like that academic-y, very, I don't know, you have to say it with a British accent. We find very little room to doubt Martin Schmidt. And you're like, what does that mean? Right? I'm using a fake British accent because I think they studied this at Oxford, right? Cambridge Catalogue of Radio, so they're probably British. And so I'm using my fake British accent to sound like that. So anyways, that's how I did it. I don't know where Mount Wilson and Palomar observed. That sounds American. Palomar sounds very California. So let's do it with Cal. Dude, like Jeremy's probably, I mean, not Jeremy, Martin's probably right. I'm totally feeling it. Okay, Okay, so that would be the California way to do it. So, anyways, what I want to do here is on the next page, there's another passage, and there's 5 questions. I want to let you guys do it kind of like a mini quiz, and we'll go over it. Is that cool? All right. nearly done or still working on it. But this was pretty short. It was only 5. It's not a full out rating comp, so I figured. In terms of difficulty level, if you're to rate this passage, 1 being easy, 5 being hard, what would it be? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 1. Okay.
Do you want me to give a reason?
I'm sorry.
Can I say why I think it's 1?
Sure.
I think it's a 1 because from the questions, it's very easy to go back because it's in chronological order. The periods of time are all separate paragraphs, so it's very easy to go back and find information.
That was easy to follow, like before birth, just after birth, a few weeks, months, and then years. Yeah, that was easy to follow on that. Yeah. And probably didn't have anything that was unfamiliar to the point where you guys were like, I don't know what this is, right? So it's a pretty easy passage. I'm just gonna go straight to the answers on this, and I'm not gonna break it down, but let's start, we'll talk about the questions. Actually, let's do it this way to make it more constructive. Let's just, since there's 5 questions, let's just go straight across the board. Let's start with, we'll start on this side. Jeremy Hubinger, what'd you get for number 1? This one. A is correct, and tell us how you got that.
I was correct.
Right, and what I would say is specifically on what line did you? Right, it says within 96 hours, that's the first week, right? They can tell their mother tongue in that versus a foreign language. So, okay, number 2, Dominic, what'd you get on that one?
I got C.
Let me go over it.
2.
Yeah, 2 is C, correct. And then how did you get that one?
On line 50.
Right, it specifically states it. Those are pretty obvious fact-finding questions. This is more of a, number 3 is more of a vocab in context. Emma, what did you get for? For 3 is A. Tell us how you got that. That's correct.
I just replaced it with what words?
Native tongue, yeah.
If you just like replace it and you say like, babies distinguish their primary tongue. It sounds weird, but native tongue is like a saying.
Yeah, they wouldn't have a secondary one because they only know one language. Or they don't really even know any language. They just hear the sounds of their mother's language, and that's native because that's the first thing that they heard, right? So unless their mom is speaking to them in like 3 different languages or something like that, then okay, good on that one. Jeremy Rodenberg, number 4.
According to the passage, when children start to actually things like trial and error. Now, assuming.
Wait, did you come up with an answer on this or not?
Yeah, B.
Okay, tell us how you got B. That's correct.
Because I went back and I read the answers and I went back to that passage and I can't remember exactly.
It's mentioned here, if you look at this, it says instead of trial, that's when they're talking about trial and error, but they would say something like their crude sentences, crude utterances usually have no syntax, but it refers to a whole thing. Also where it's,
line 44.
Oh, line 40 is where it says doggy, and doggy refers to the whole dog as well as other things referring to the dog. Like anything with 4 legs is doggy. So that's kind of what that was. They didn't have trial and error because kids didn't know what was right and wrong in the first place. They're just speaking. Okay, let's go to 5 over here, Jeremy. Let me double check that. 5 is C. Tell us how you got it.
We're kind of just talking about it, like how trial and error is and stuff.
Yeah, that's right. It's mentioned right there on line 40. So good job on that one. So good. So that's kind of how that would work there with the reading comp. I think you guys are pretty good at stuff. Let's move from here to the writing section. And writing section, as you guys know, deals more with grammar, identifying mistakes in sentences. So this part is saying a verb must agree with its subject in both person and number. And these are pretty obvious statements here. The difference is you got singular stamp, a stamp sticks to an envelope, versus stamps plural stick to an envelope. For most of us, I don't think this is an issue. But what they really do on the SAT to make it a little bit harder is they separate them. And they'll start with the subject somewhere here, and then they'll have the verb, somewhere else in the middle of the sentence. So, Emma, if you were to identify the subject and the verb here for part B, which ones are which?
Part B.
Yeah, because I kind of walked right over part A. That was too easy for you guys. I think you guys can tell stamp versus stamps, right?
I'd say it's the chair.
The chair, not the legs. Correct. This is a classic trick where they will put a noun right in front of the verb to make you think, oh, legs is plural, this should be are, right? But the subject is chair, and the other stuff is just description, but with cabriolet legs. That's just that. Okay. Dominic, what do you think about the next sentence? What is the main subject? What is the verb here?
MP flute players, the subject.
Right.
The verb is are.
Correct. And again, a long separation with all this other stuff. Small portable devices that play digital, that's like, got it, right? But that's just extra stuff. The key to this is being able to separate the two and identify, oh yeah, that's the subject is here and the verb is over here, and still connect them. So this is pretty classic stuff. This is talking about conjunctions. Only the conjunction and, the word and, forms a compound subject requiring a plural verb. So this very first example, what I want us to do with this is insert a simple verb in here. Jeremy Rodenberg, what would you do with the first one?
Danny and Joe like in the fencing club, so I'm gonna say are.
Are would fit well since it's plural. The next one here, Jeremy Hubinger, what would you do with this one?
Is.
Yeah, it would be is. What about the next one, Dominic?
And again, North brothers are. Or is it is? Okay.
What's your final answer?
I think are.
It's are. What's the rule that we should be referring to when you have a situation like this? Does anyone know the rule, Jeremy?
I was guessing. I'm not sure. Either of them plural.
Well, the problem is the one that Dominic just read, Danny is singular, brothers is plural.
Right.
So which one would you? Oh, you're saying
Either.
Oh, okay. Close, but not exactly. Jeremy?
I'm gonna say that when it's either, the only possible situation is that there's one. So I'm gonna say that is always is. But if there's a situation where there's two things, it's are.
And the correct answer is, wait, do you know it now?
It's the one that is right before the verb. Or
Yes, the second term in either or, neither nor will dictate whether it's a singular or plural verb. That is a rule. If you guys, how many of you guys have still got grammar books from middle school? If you go back there and look it up, it'll say that. The second term determines whether it's going to be singular. So this one's obvious, Emma. What would you do with the last one here? Yeah, because Danny is singular. Even though brothers is plural, it's going to be is on this one. Yeah, the second term is Danny, and this one, the first one was brothers, and the other one. So, okay, that's why I made them exactly the same. So that when you're like, you're not focusing on in the fence and club. You're really focusing on the beginning of it. It's pretty much the only things that are different. Okay, good. Let's do this one at a time. Let's have Jeremy Rodenberg choose the verb that is most appropriate here. What would you choose? On the next page.
Yeah. They had been or have been calling Susan when she arrived at their house. So it's arrived, so I'm gonna say had been.
With a V or with a D? I could be D. Correct. And how did you conclude had with a D?
Because the verb is arrived.
Arrived. Okay. Yeah. Is that,
always work?
well, let's talk about this for just a moment. How do we know when to use had versus have? I'm going to write a little chart here. And I'm going to use a different one instead of arrived. Let's use,
Oh no, because number 3, that doesn't work.
what's the difference between these three? Does anybody want to tell me? Hey, Dominic?
Well, I studied is you did it and then it finished.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had studied is you studied and then like something changed.
Okay.
And then I had studied is yeah.
This one?
Yeah.
This one's not done. So let's put these into context. Oh, wait, is that, do you want to?
Ongoing.
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go, there you go. Okay. Good addition there. Let's just make it easier to remember. There's a starting point and an ending point for each of them. So just start. And so this one is both in the past. Completed. So this is past, completed. The one in the middle, this is what Jeremy said. He said, it does start in the past, but it's continuing. This would be something like, hey, have you studied, what is it, for SAT? Yeah, I've been studying for a few weeks. Doesn't mean that it's over. It means that you started for a few weeks and it's ongoing. This one here, this is what Dominic said. He said something changed, right? So this started in the past. I like change. That's more general, but I specifically like to say it's interrupted, okay? Because usually, I'll use a few examples of it. I was reading until my phone rang. I was studying until dinner time. Or I was sleeping, but my alarm went off. So there's always, let me say this. I had been, oh my gosh, let me use it correctly. I had been sleeping, but my phone went off. I had been studying, but I was interrupted. I had been watching TV until something happened. The had is usually used until something interrupts it. So if it's easy to remember, this is what I remember. Completed, continuing, or change, or interrupted. 3 C's there. I like the change. It makes it 3 C's instead of I. But yeah, that's the way I would remember that. So good. Emma, you want to do number 2 for us? These are pretty, this one's much more straightforward.
They're hard.
Okay, and you,
Well, I don't know, because when I look at I'm very bad at verb tense, and when I look at the sentence, I think of it like, it depends on whether, I think if there's like a closed case, like are is like it's still happening, there's still ones that keep on happening.
there's another clue in this sentence that confirms that it's are. Dominic, do you see it?
Is it cannot?
Cannot
Yes?
and dismiss. Yeah, they're both present tense. So they're both present, so it's out. Okay, let's go to 3, Dominic. What would you choose here? These are getting easier, but
Six.
yeah. So I was about to sit. Yeah, that works. Jeremy, next one here. Given
Tony thinks the present that she was given.
yeah, gived is not even close. Pretty obvious. Jeremy Rodenberg over here.
So the answer to one was, have been, right? Or
Number one,
was it had been or have been?
had,
Oh, it was.
until they arrived and they realized, until she arrived, they're like, oh shoot, we're calling her, she's coming, or she's right here at the house.
Okay.
I had been calling her when she arrived. It's like, I'm dialing, and then it's like, oh, she's here. So then you're like, I stopped. That should be had.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to do 5?
Sure. When I was older, okay, sorry. Okay, part of it, yeah. I will move out of my parents' house and get my own apartment. Was.
Was?
Sorry, when I am older.
Was would be past. This person's anticipating becoming older, so it should be am older on that one. It's okay. All right, let's go to the next one, Emma. This one's easy.
Last summer, I swam in our pool. As a result, my hair turned green.
Swam. Okay, good.
I swam in our pool.
I looked those up to make sure. Okay, let's go to 7. This is pretty straightforward.
Jeff walked right into a beehive and was badly stung.
Stung, correct. Next one, Jeremy.
By the end of next week, I have finished / will have finished my term. I will have finished.
Right, that's called future perfect tense. To expect something will be completed in the future. All right, next one, Jeremy, on this one.
As soon as the sun set, the vampire rose out of his coffin.
Correct. What's the difference between rose and rise? I mean, rose and raise, because rised is not even a word, but what's the difference between rose and raise? You know the difference, Dominic?
Isn't rose like you're getting up, like out of bed, and raise is like you're lifting something up?
Correct. What I would distinguish it is if you look at all the different contexts of rose, Fred rose, I rose out of bed, is whatever is using rose is like automatically doing it himself or by itself. Whereas if you raise, I raise my hand, it's my brain telling my hand to do it, or I raise this pen and do that. It's human telling, or not telling, but lifting the pen. So, all right, last one here, Emma, 10.
Mom probably laid the baby down after. Right?
Yeah, it's not interrupted or changed within the sentence. It's a completed action. She just put the baby down. She laid it down. Okay, pretty obvious there. I think that of all these things, the one that really requires the most thought about the context was the had versus have. That's kind of why I spent more time on that. Let's continue. Let's look at these rules here. They're talking about modifying words and phrases and clauses. They must be properly placed for the word that they're trying to modify. In most cases, an introductory phrase or clause will modify the very next noun that follows it. Okay? What's wrong with this one, Dominic? The sentence right here in A.
Fire department drops the fire under control, rushing to the scene. Because the rushing to the scene is the fire department.
It should be in front of the fire department.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if it's going to modify this sentence, it's specifically talking about the fire department. Good. All right. These are rules that I think you guys should know. Adjectives can only modify nouns or pronouns. What would be the adjectives in this one, Jeremy? Good. And then go ahead and do the one right after that.
Here's one comfortable. Or, oh no, comfortable.
Comfortable, yes. What would more be in this case?
Or be a verb.
Verb? A verb is an action that a noun does.
Yeah.
It's an adverb. Adverbs modify, which is our next part. Adverbs modify verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. So more in this case would be the adverb that modifies comfortable. So that's what that would be. Let's do this. I want you guys to choose the correct word and determine whether it's modifying an adjective, an adverb, or verb. Jeremy Rodenberg for this one.
Volleyball team plays aggressive or aggressively. Aggressively.
And it is modifying
Plays.
which is the
Verb.
verb. Okay, Emma?
The volleyball plays an extremely aggressive game.
Okay. Wait, extremely. Which one are you reading?
Fine. I was reading the second one.
The second one. Okay. Extremely aggressive game. Okay. Which one is it modifying? Which one is the adverb modifying?
You mean like, does it modify aggressive or game?
Yeah.
Aggressive?
Aggressive, which is a yes. So we've seen modifying a verb, plays. In this second form, it's modifying the adjective. And the last one here, Dominic?
The volleyball team plays in the aggressive.
Extremely aggressively. I know that sounds awkward, but that's just like saying really aggressively. People will say that in conversation. So this is an adverb modifying an adverb, right? So that was all three forms right there. All right, let's go with the first one. Jeremy Hubinger, Hubinger, number 4.
Number 4.
Yeah.
As word by Williams, the reputation of the award-winning actress is owed to the realism she brings to her roles.
Is there anything wrong with it that you can identify before you go to the answer choices?
Is owed.
Okay. Okay.
So A, the reputation of the award-winning actress is owed.
It's the same.
So the reputation is owed by the award-winning actress to the realism she brings to her roles. Probably not. C, the reputation of the award-winning actress comes from the realism she brings to her roles. Right. The award-winning actress owes her reputation to the realism she brings to her roles. Probably C.
Does everyone agree that C is the answer?
I think
Are you hearing D, Jeremy?
I'm thinking about D also.
Okay, so Emma, you're the first one to say D. Why D? Before you deal all the cards.
I think it rolls off the tongue better.
Rolls off the tongue. Okay, are we going to use that rule? If it rolls off the tongue, okay, that's actually,
That's how I do questions.
I know. There's more to it. Dominic?
I said that because the reputation is from the realism, so I can put them together. It says brings, and brings is like present tense, not past.
Okay, there's something even stronger than that. Even stronger. Because the is present tense. So that negates the issue of tense here. The is okay. Jeremy Rodenberg, you also said D, but why? I'm looking for one specific reason, which is by far more strong than what I've heard so far.
Reputation comes after.
You're on the right track. I think you're, if you can formulate that.
I don't know what.
since we're talking about modifiers, the modifying phrase is not underlined here, so we're leaving it as is. Adored by millions. What is adored? The reputation or the person?
That's what I was about.
I knew you were on that, and that's why I just wanted to close it out. But it's the person who's adored. The reputation's the results, right? So that's why D is your best one. It just doesn't look as obvious because it says award-winning, and it kind of like separates it a little bit from the modifying phrase. So D is your best one. I had, who read that one? That was, Dominic read that? Or no, Jeremy read that? Okay, let's go over here, Jeremy, number 5.
Having won the lottery, Sam's laughter, which caused several passers-by to look up was loud. Okay. Having won the lottery, Sam's laughter, which caused several passers-by to look up was loud. Wait, is that different?
A is the same.
Oh, it is the same. Okay. B, Sam's having won the lottery. Sam's loud laughter caused several passerby to look up. C, having won the lottery, Sam laughed loudly, causing several passerby to look up. And D, having won the lottery, Sam's laughter. Having won the lottery, several passerby looked up when Sam laughed loudly. I think I'm gonna go with B.
B. Does everyone agree? Okay, Emma was actually really quick, but what are you gonna say about that one?
I think that it's C because Sam won the lottery.
Correct. This is the exact same trick as the previous one. Okay, who won it? It was Sam, not his laughter. The other one was adored by millions, the reputation. The reputation is not what's adored, it's the person. Same thing. 2 tricks that I wanted to bring up with 4 and 5 are that they're using the object rather than the subject, because the subject's the person, right? The second trick is that on number 5, when you see the apostrophe S, that's a trick because it looks like a person, but it means his, right? And you wouldn't say having won the lottery his, you would say Sam, not his. You guys see that? So that's why it's a possessive pronoun there, his, right? So that doesn't fit. And that's why C is your best answer. Good. Emma, you want to do 6 for us?
Sure. Although Shakespeare's brilliance is evident in his comedies, his tragedies contain the most extraordinary insights. And then, even though if Shakespeare's brilliance was evident in his comedies, nonetheless, his tragedies contain his most extraordinary insight, despite the fact that Shakespeare's brilliance is evident in his comedies, nonetheless, his tragedies contain his most extraordinary insights. Shakespeare's brilliance is evident.
Are you just reading for feel? I don't hear a yes or a no or a maybe from you.
Yeah.
That technique is, before you even go through these, was there something you noticed about the original that sounded off?
I didn't even read them. When I read out loud, I don't hear the words.
What do? Do you go into like a zen where you're like, I'm feeling vibe?
Yeah, I don't retain any information when I read out loud.
Okay. Before we go through these, because she's just reading them out loud, Dominic, what did you think?
The answer, or what did I think was wrong when I first read it?
When you first read it?
That it says Shakespeare's brilliance
is evident in his comedies. His tragedies contain his most extraordinary.
That it says that it's talking about his brilliance and it's no.
Okay.
So I guess it's
Okay. Did you just change your answer, or did you have an answer?
no, I didn't have an answer, but I thought, or I can look.
I think this is one where if you read the and all 5 of them, when you're done, you're gonna be like, that was too much,
Yeah.
right? The answer here is A. It was good as is. There was nothing significant that had to be changed here. There was nothing glaring that was completely wrong. That's why I asked the question, did you guys notice something about it that stood out? That's why. Okay. Because if you do go through these, it gets a little bit weird. The nonetheless doesn't fit very well. Despite the fact, nonetheless is just really wordy. It's just getting worse and worse. This E is had been. Is it appropriate to use had been? No, there was no change or interruption. So that's why these kind of things we want to be aware of them, right? D sounds terrible. Is being evident. That just sounds clunky, right? But now that we know this is the answer, it's easier to see those mistakes in each of the other answers. Okay, question to you guys. Do you want to take a break now? Or we can do kind of a mini quiz about the writing section with 14 questions and then take a break. Do the mini quiz? All right, so the next 2 pages, there's 14 questions here. Next 2 pages, or 3 pages rather. So go ahead and do those and we'll go over them together. All right, number 1 is D, 2 is G, 3 is, huh? Oh, B.
So which one is B?
1D, 2B, 3C, 4D, 5 is B, 6 is B, 7 is D, 8 is D, 9 is B, 10 is C, 11 is A, 12 is D, 13 is A, 14 is A. Did we get 100% here? 13 was A. Any questions on these, or you guys all got this pretty well? Is there a question? Okay, let's do a little break. We have plenty of time. We're like on lightning speed today. I think we may even get out early just because of that. But let's take a little break and then we'll go from The good thing about daylight savings time is that the sun is still out at 6 p.m. That's one of those cool things. If I could ever have one policy passed by politicians, I would actually want daylight savings time, what we have now, to be our standard time.
Okay, Arizona.
And then, actually, they just go on standard time in Arizona. I don't know. They don't practice daylight savings.
Right, yeah.
Sorry. And then, in the fall, when we move it back, I would move it forward. You know why?
And it would be dark at like 5 or
No, if you move it forward, it'll stay brighter. Because when you move it back, it's 4 p.m. and it's dark. You move it forward, it's 7 p.m. Let's say it'll be 6 p.m. In the fall, it's moving it backwards.
Yeah.
So at 5 p.m., what is normally sunset, we're moving it to 4 p.m. So
Yeah.
it's dark at 4. I want to move it forward so it's 6 p.m. when it's dark. So we have more daylight hours in the fall. I don't know why we move it back. It doesn't make any sense to
I don't know why we have daylight savings.
me.
Well, it's because like the farmers were like.
I don't know if any farmers are on that agenda anymore.
Yeah,
There's no farmers crying out, "We demand it. Move the clock back." Sorry. This dry cough is killing. All right, let's get back into this. We're dealing with math, specifically in the area of geometry. And today they're talking in this section about angles. And I think when it comes to geometry, really what you're dealing with is vocabulary words, a lot of jargon and things like that. This question here on part A, let's start over here with Jeremy Hubinger. What are some lines that are supplementary here?
Oh God. Okay. Pretty sure it's supplementary.
It says it right.
It says it right there.
Oh, it's 28. Okay, that's good.
All right, but that's not going to be on the test in the front. You got to know the vocab, so supplementary is 180.
I was gonna say I'm pretty sure it's 180.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So B, C, A, D, E.
it's easy to spot them if they're on the same line.
Yeah, but also.
If they're on 2 different lines, what would you pair?
B, A, and H. E, and
B and G, yeah.
C, and
A and
H.
H, yeah. D and E. Those are more obvious or less obvious ones that they would probably use on the test. The next one is talking about vertical angles. What are some examples of that, Dominic?
They are crossing each other and are equal.
Yeah.
Angles that are crossing each other and equal. So is that like D and B?
D and B, yeah. Yeah, D and B. Oh, D and B, yeah, I think those are pretty obvious. F and H, E and G, A, C. All right, Emma, the next one.
Corresponding angles are equal when 2 parallel lines are cut by transversal. All acute angles are equal and all obtuse angles are equal. Does it mean like B, D, F, and H?
B and D are not corresponding.
Oh, it means
F
like
and
B,
H,
F.
those are vertical. That's what Dominic just read to us. So that is not corresponding.
Does it mean like B and F?
Yeah, B and F are corresponding.
It's,
C and G are
the way that they word it, it makes it sound like B, D, F, and H.
2 parallel lines are cut by the same transversal.
Well, that would just be if they were equal. There's equal and corresponding.
And corresponding, yeah. It says 2 lines are cut by the same, all acute angles are equal, all obtuse angles are equal. So these were both, I guess, obtuse and obtuse. These were obtuse and obtuse. This is acute, acute. This is acute, acute. Right? So, yeah, that's true, what they're saying right there. Before we go to the next one, I was going to add one other thing. What is complementary angles, Jeremy? Adding up to 90. Good. So it's all vocab, remembering these words, what they represent. Typically, these type of questions are early maybe up to the medium level, but not really difficulty. Not the higher difficulty ones. This might be an exception, but you want to read number 1 first? This one? On E.
Line L is tangent to two circles in a plane, and the circles lie on the same side of line L. If line M is parallel to line L, which of the following is not possible? Not a possible number of points of intersection between line M and the two circles. So I would normally like draw this out.
Why don't you want to come up and do it, or you can do it there?
I guess I can go.
It's up to you, yeah. Either way.
All right, I'll just draw here.
Okay.
All right, so I only see 0, 2, and 4
0, 2, and 4.
places where line can make the circle.
Okay. You want to draw what you did on paper up here so we can follow you? That'd be easier. There you go.
All right, so that's line L.
Okay.
And then line M has to be parallel. So it can either be 0, like up here,
Okay.
2 if it's touching either of those points or those 2 points, or 4 if it's just going across.
Okay, I like what you did right there. I'm going to use this green. And this is what Jeremy was saying, like 2 points right here. 1, 2, this is 4 points. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you notice something, they never said that these 2 circles are exactly the same size. So what if one was smaller? I'm just going to draw it here. This would be your 3. 1, 2, 3. But 5 is impossible, right? And a 1, if these were the 2 circles, this would be 1, right? So 1 is possible. Well, 1's not even on there, but 2, 3, and 4 are all possible. 5 is not possible because there's only 4 edges that it could cut through. So that would be our answer. So good job on that. Keep the marker up here so I can write on it. So, okay, good. All right, good. Good job on that one. The answer is 5 because there's no way you could have 5 intersections on that one. Let's go to number 2. Jeremy over here. Read that for us.
Yeah. In the figure above, M is parallel to N and L bisects angle XYZ. If P is 105, what is the value of Q? So, it would be half of 105. Yeah. Yeah, 52.5.
Okay, that is right. 52.5. Tell us how you did it.
Q is the same, I mean, well, Q is the same angle as LYZ, and well, L is line, but
L, Y, Z.
it doesn't, yeah,
This one here.
line.
Yeah, this is
that
line
one
L.
there. Yeah.
Right, L, Y, Z is the same as Q. How did you get that conclusion? That's true.
Well, they're both, it's like one line on 2 parallel lines, but
How about this? Here's your vertical angles. Those are equal.
yeah.
Then you've got corresponding angles, so that's equal, right? So whatever value, you were right, because this whole thing is the same as this one.
Yeah, exactly.
And so this is 52.5, 52.5. That adds up to
Yeah.
105. That's correct. You got the right answer.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's,
I didn't know how to articulate.
yeah, that's totally fine. Yeah, that's totally fine. But you got the right answer there. A lot of students do something else and they get 75, but that wasn't the correct answer. 52.5. Good. Once I heard you say that, I was like, oh yeah, he's on the right path there. So good. Let's hear from Dominic. You want to read the next one, number 3?
Sure. So, okay, so the question is, in the figure above, what is the value of A minus B? So to do that, find A, we know that 4A plus 2 plus 100 equals 150.
Okay, so you added these two together to equal that. Oh, wait,
Well,
sorry,
you
say that
can
again? What did you?
4A plus 2 equals
Oh,
100.
these two, right.
Yeah.
Correct.
So,
Okay.
then to solve for that, you get, subtract 2 to the other side, you get 148, which gives you divided by 4. And then you get 100. No, you get, yeah.
It's,
No, it's,
A equals, if you need to write it out, write it out. I told you the story about the guy Bob, right? And when he did his math, he didn't do it on paper. Did I tell you guys that
I
one?
thought it was 37.
It's 37.
It's just 1/4 of 100 and then 40.
So this equals 37. I told you the story of Bob, right? Where
Yeah,
Bob
you
just
told the
had,
story of Bob.
yeah, we need to write it down. That's what I'm saying. So 37, and so minus B, which is obviously equal to 30, right? So A minus B is 7 here. Okay. Good. Let's move on. Let's move to the next part. This is talking about triangles. I think you guys all know the sum of the interior angles is 80. Oh, 100. Is 180, right? The triangle inequality theorem is an interesting one. Does anybody remember that?
Wait, which page?
We're talking about triangles.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, you're there. Interior angles, 180. Triangle inequality theorem. Who knows that one? Talking about the lengths of the legs.
Are you talking about the equivalent of this?
It's not.
Okay. Oh, that's D. Never mind.
Triangle inequality theorem. I'm going to put this up here. The triangle inequality theorem, it says when you add the lengths of any two sides, it must be greater than the third side. So let's write that in. This doesn't look like it's familiar. What I'm saying by this is if you had two sides, let's say this is equal to 3, and this is 4, this third side, C, could not be equal to 7. Do you guys agree with me? What would happen if it was 7, Dominic?
If it was 7, it would be B. A and B wouldn't be able to reach.
It would be a flat line, 3, 4, 7, right? Because if you had a triangle, 3 and 4, and the third side was 7, if they were all touching the vertices, it would be a flat line. So you can't equal 7. What this theorem is saying here is basically this. A plus B is greater than C. And it's also saying this is true regardless if you add any of the sides. C plus B is greater than A, C plus A is greater than B. This is not simply saying these two sides only. Another thing that this theorem is saying is that when you subtract the legs, it will be smaller than the third leg. So that means that if you said C minus A is less than B, okay, C minus B is less than A. I would write this one down if you don't know this theorem. This is a classic situation on the SAT, okay? They might give you a situation like this, where if you had a triangle called ABC, it would say, which of the following is not a possible, which of the following are not possible lengths for a triangle? And it might say something like this. Answer A, 3, 3, and 3. Answer B, 3, 3, and 4, right? Does that work? Well, that might work, okay. C would be 3, 4, and 5, and D, 3, 4, and 7. Does this work? Let me see. These two are bigger. These two are bigger. These two, yeah, it works actually. But you guys can see that, right? The obvious one that doesn't work is D, because it doesn't fulfill either of those two situations there, right? 3 plus 4 equals 7. 7 minus 4 equals 3. So both of these situations don't work here. That's a classic type of question they might give you. You guys know the Pythagorean theorem. Obviously, that only applies to right triangles. And when they say A and B in this case, they're being specific and saying leg, leg, and then C is hypotenuse. So you guys know that, right? Have you guys heard of Pythagorean triplets? 3, 4, 5 triangle, 5, 12, 13 triangle. When you see a hypotenuse that's a multiple of 13, like 13, 26, or 39, that should be very conspicuous. That should be something that stands out. And you're like, you know what? There's a likelihood this is a right triangle. Or if you see something as a multiple of 5 for a hypotenuse, that's usually a trigger. And you're kind of like, hey, this could be a right triangle here. Let's go to number 4 here. I don't know who I had read the last thing here. That was, I think, Dominic, did you read the last one? Okay, Emma, do you want to do number 4 for us? Do you want to read it out loud for us?
Oh. The figure above shows the route from Ted's trip from his house to his friend's house. Ted traveled 6 miles from A to B, 6 miles from B to C, and 2 miles from C to D. If Ted were able to travel from A to D directly, how much shorter in miles would the trip be?
Okay. Do you want to take a stab, or did you not understand what you just read?
Oh, I did because I read it silently.
Okay, good. All right, tell us how you would go about this then.
I'd try to figure out what C is.
When you say C,
I mean from A to C.
A to C. Why A to C?
I don't know. If I was going somewhere, I'd go.
Ted's trip originally is A, B, C, D, and now he's going from A to D, right?
He just wants to go directly across.
Well, that's what this question says. It says, if Ted were able to travel from A to D directly.
Would that make it, would B to the new line be? Yeah.
What do you mean, B to the new line? Oh, here.
Yeah.
So this point.
Yeah.
Would it be what?
Would it be 3 on each side? Because then you can figure out what.
Well, that's open to debate. Since Jeremy has his hand up, I want to hear if you were thinking the same thing.
What I was thinking I would do is I'd draw a line straight down from A and then across to D and make that a triangle, and then you can find out the side lengths from the given ones.
That's what I would do too.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
No, I think you were trying to figure out from here to this unknown and from here to this unknown.
Yeah.
He's talking about this. Draw this line out here.
Okay.
Is that what you're doing?
Well, I was going to go down from A, but that works also.
Oh, you can do it. Oh, let's do it that way. I'll do it your way. So down this way and then down this way. That's what you're saying, right,
Yeah.
Jeremy?
Because
Tell us why you're doing that, okay?
So, I guess label the hypotenuse like X.
You mean this point here? That's not the hypotenuse. It's just a new point
Okay.
here. It's an X.
So A to X is 6 because B to C.
Yeah.
And then X to C is 6.
Right.
And 6 plus 2 is 8. So that whole side length is 8 total. And then you can use Pythagorean theorem to find A to D.
You can do that. That's correct. 6 and 8. So what is the value of A to D then?
Would this be on like this would be on like the calculators actually, right?
Do you need a calculator for this?
Probably not.
Does anybody know why I'm being so like,
It's probably like simple.
look at your page and look at something we talked
Oh.
about
Multiples
2
of,
minutes ago.
multiples of, what's it called?
Of what?
13 and 5.
13 and 5. I don't see any multiples of 13 and 5. Jeremy over
I
here.
mean, it can't be anything but 10 because everything else is equal to.
Correct.
On the other sideline.
So this new line here from A to D is 10, because this is 2 times 3, this is 2 times 4, this is 2 times 5, right? So that's a 3, 4, 5. Yes, Jeremy?
Internally effective, if you also just do like 8 times 8 is 64, 6 times 6 is 36, and that's 100.
Okay, yeah, you're going Pythagorean,
Yeah.
sure. He's going Pythagorean otherwise. You could do it. I'm just trying to see if you guys notice things, because that's what I talked about a couple minutes ago. It didn't give us the hypotenuse, but when you started to say, oh, wait, that's 2 times 3, this is 2 times 4, there's a trend, this had to be 2 times 5. 3, 4, 5 triangle right there. Okay. Are we done?
You have to circle the answer.
Subtract. What's the answer?
It's, I guess, 13 minus 10,
13?
14.
14 minus 10. The old one was 14, the new is 10. Answer is 4 here. So he actually saved 4 miles of travel by going directly from A to D. The reason why I asked, are we done, is a lot of people get excited, like, yeah, I figured that Pythagorean theorem thing. It's 10. And they circle D, and like, I'm done. With no, not done yet. It's actually 14 minus 10. Okay, good job. Another thing here that I wanted to get into was memorizing the proportions of these special triangles, the 45, 45, 90, the 30, 60, 90. It's good to memorize because when you look at triangles, you should notice when they have a 45-degree angle or a 30 or 60. Obviously, the 90 is denoted. One point that I wanted to make here that's very important, and just to reiterate, is that the angles are correlated to the side that is opposite. That means the 30 is related to the x, the 60 is related to x root 3, 90 is related to 2x. Everyone's cool with that, right? Nobody's thrown off by that, right? Okay, good. So let's do these 2 questions. Let's go. Let's go to number 6. Jeremy, you want to read that one?
In triangle,
I'm doing 6 first and then 5, but go ahead. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
in triangle XYZ above, what's the value of A plus C plus D plus E? All right, so the triangle that's B to B is equilateral, which means that all of the B's are 60 degrees.
Good. So this is 60 inside here.
All of the other triangles have one of those B's in them, wait, except the overall one. But,
Okay.
that's not what the question is. So I guess I would separate out the individual triangles to try to figure them out.
Okay. So you have, which one do you want to deal with first?
How about BCD?
Okay. So BCD here, 60, C, and D. Okay.
Um,
And then I'll just draw the other one over here.
we know that C and D have to be, is this to scale? I think
It doesn't even matter if it's to scale, to be honest.
C and D have to be equal.
That part we don't know. We don't know that.
I don't know, I guess I'd draw a different one out and come back to this one later.
Yeah, my drawings are not to scale, obviously.
Yeah.
Jeremy over here.
Well, so we know that C plus D has to be 120,
Right,
and that's all we need to know.
right.
And
for the other triangle, we know that A plus E has to also be 120. So then you can figure out everything.
Right, this is really 120 plus 120 right here. So our final answer is 240. Good job on that. That's, a lot of times we get caught up and we're like, I need to find out the individual angles of each thing. In this one we didn't. When it came down to it, we were gonna add them all together. And they did a little twist at the end. Instead of calling it A and E plus C and D, which would have given it away, right? They just listed it in alphabetical order, but you're just adding them up anyway, so it's going to be 240 on that. All right. It's, you know what's kind of funny? It's like one person reads it and the person next to them answers it, because like the one Emmett read, Jeremy Rodenberg answered. Jeremy Rodenberg. You want to read number 5 for us? Let's see if Dominic answers this one for us. Okay, read number 5 for us.
Figure above, if AB equals 2, what is the area of triangle ABC?
Okay, well. I mean, angle 6 has to be, angle not 6, angle C has to be 30.
Does that add up? Okay.
Yeah.
So this is 30. That's good.
Now just ping pong
Ping ponging. Yes. Back and forth.
from the end.
Okay. Dominic, did you have an idea? Don't feel the pressure that everyone's answering each other's, but yeah.
Well, can we cut the 2 triangles down the middle?
Sure. How do you want to do it?
From angle, the 105 degrees.
So I'm going to draw an altitude. That's what that's called. Okay.
So now we have 2 90-degree
Good.
triangles.
So you have a 90 and a 90 here.
And now we can just use the Pythagorean theorem.
You could.
Well, we know it's, it's a 45, 45, 90 triangle.
This is 45, 45, 90. Okay.
We know that, so I guess it's a 102 triangle. And then
He's on the right page. Yeah.
the hypotenuse is 2. So I guess, it would be 1 and 1 on the other sides, because square root, not square root, that's 1 squared and 1 squared, because the hypotenuse is root 2 squared. Right?
And so what did you get for these two?
1 and 1.
It's not 1 and 1.
Oh,
Because look at, typically the proportions are x, x, and x root 2.
Yeah.
So we are given that this 2, which is
Oh.
affiliated to the 90, is equivalent to this. What do you guys do when they don't match up? They look different from each other.
Make them look the same.
Make them look the same. How do you do it? Magical powers? Do you use the Harry Potter thing? Luminous? No? Is that what he says? What else can we do besides that one? Yeah, Dominic?
Well, isn't x root 2?
What about it?
oh yeah.
Well,
That's what this is equal to. Luminous? No. Okay, what do we do?
I agree. I think that, isn't it 2?
No. So this is what I was hoping that you guys would say here. Let me see if I can get this in graph. X root 2 equals 2. I kept saying that on purpose.
Oh,
Now, to isolate x, divide by root 2 on both sides. These cancel out. X is equal to 2 over root 2. Okay? Can we leave the radical in the denominator? We shouldn't. So let's change this into root 2 over root 2. That's basically multiplying this by 1. So you get 2 root 2 over 2. So this equals root 2. So it's very different than what we are used to. This is actually root 2, root 2. You guys all see that? Did I lose you guys on that? This is a good one to write down, Emma, as opposed to dealing cards. So this means this is equal to root 2, and this is root 2. Okay, this is actually a hard problem, I would tell you. Yeah, Jeremy.
What I just did is you can just like do a squared plus b squared, just like Pythagorean theorem. You can just say like c is 4 because you already know that 2 squared is 4, and then like the same thing squared like has to be
Right.
You know, it has to be 2 each.
You could get there by Pythagorean. You could. Okay, what do? We're only halfway done. What can we do here? Because the final question is, what's the area of this triangle? So if this is root 2 on this side, it's also root 2 on this. I'm not going to write it twice. But here, let's do this. Which pieces of information do we have? What are the proportions of these three? This is why I said you guys got to memorize this. Because if you don't, you won't even know that you should use it. What are the proportions here? This one you won't get away with Pythagorean. It's going to be a lot harder to do it with Pythagorean. So the proportions here are x root 3, and 2x. Okay? So it's good to memorize. What do we have so far? Which one do we have? We have x, because this is opposite to 30, right? Since it's opposite to 30, this is root 2. Which one do we need? Yeah, we need the 60. This is 60 over here, because this angle is 60 and this is 90. So what is this going to be over here? It's going to equal root 6, because when you multiply root 2 times root 3, that's root 6. So this is root 6 here. You guys see that? Now that we have all these pieces, what do? Solve, yes. Can I erase this thing here? This part? Okay, I'm going to erase this one. Okay. So we have that. Now how do we solve it? We have a lot of good info here. Area of this triangle. Base times height. Is that it? The way base times height is the formula.
No, half.
1/2 base times height. So area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. Okay. Which one is which here?
Well, we know height's root 2.
Okay, so we have height is root 2. And we have our 1/2. What's our base equal to?
2 plus root 6.
Root 2 plus root 6. Good. All right. So now we got to clean this up. Which one would we do first? The root 2 can be multiplied into this parentheses. So you have yourself root 4 plus root 12, the whole thing divided by 2. Now what?
Root 4 we can divide it to
2, and then
2 as well.
right, and then that's root 2 over 2, and then this is root 12 over 2. Can we clean that one? What's that going to be?
2.
Let's go back to Dominic, where you're saying
Not 2.
2 and 3. This would be 2, 2, 3. So take one of the 2's out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's right. So this is going to be, this is equal to 2 root 3 over 2. So these two cancel. So your final answer here is 1 plus root 3. That's it. Not a friendly answer. Took a little bit of effort, but we got it. Let's give that a team correct answer there. So that took a little bit of time. And obviously during discussion, you know, we can see that it took more time than we thought it would. Best answer there is D. Let's go to the next page. Wow, are we running out of time?
Yep.
Wow, I thought this section wouldn't take that long, and we even had a break. Really quickly, let's do number 7 together. This might be the last one we get done. I thought we were gonna finish early, so I was wrong on this. Okay, that was a harder problem than I thought. Real quick, for this one, this is a classic problem, number 7. And Emma, you wanna read that for us?
In a figure above, two squares share the same center. The area of the shaded region is 144 square inches. If the diagonal of the smaller measure 16 inches, what is the area in square inches of the large square?
So with this kind of a question, they are asking about the area of the larger square. How would we find it with this kind of information?
Find the area of the smaller square and then add the shaded region.
Yes. So your large is equal to small plus shaded.
And the smaller square is just two 45, 45 90 triangles.
Right. So what you have in here, we know these are squares, so this is all 90, 90, 90, and they gave us a diagonal in here. The diagonal is 16. So this is what he was saying. You got 45, 45, 90 here. With this 16, can we find out the width and the length of the small? How do you do this one?
Well, it's the same proportions as we were talking about last time.
Right.
This is root 2 x and root 1.
So you're saying a squared plus a squared equals 16. This is what you were talking about last time. And then what did you do with it? Just walk us through this since you know.
Whereas or you could not, I guess.
You can. So this is 2a squared plus 256. Okay. I happen to memorize that.
256. Which is
128.
yeah, 128. And then you just
A is the square root of 128. Okay. Let's leave it there for now. Because what you have here is square root of 128, square root of 128, right? Since that's length and this is your width of your small, and this is the length of your small, the area of your small here is length times width. So this is just 128 times 128. So that equals 128.
Yeah.
Right? And then they gave us the shaded. And then using this formula right here, what is our total for the large? Last Dominic? 272. Yeah. 272. Good. That is correct. We're going to wrap it there. I thought we had more time. I was totally wrong. I thought we were going to finish early, but there's a lot that we haven't covered with circles and functions. What I'm going to say to kind of wrap it and make you feel like you didn't miss out on this is that this problem right here is a classic that I almost guarantee you'll see where they're making you add a small square to the shaded area to get the larger. And just to fast forward, if you flip the page to circles really quickly, look at that problem number 11. It's the same thing, except it's not squares, it's circles. It's the whole thing of small circle, shaded region, large. So the homework is the remaining problems for this. I'll email you guys answers. I know I need to email you the ones for the previous homework and the homeworks.
Or the homework?
And the homework. Yeah. The more the merrier. Okay. And then we're wrapped up there because I don't want to hold you guys any longer. So good. Thank you guys.